You're born in 14th century England. Your village sits close to a convent built of pale stone, tall enough to cast a shadow over most of the fields by late afternoon. Bells ring before sunrise, cutting through the cold air long before anyone is ready to wake. Smoke hangs low between timber houses, smelling of damp wool, old straw, and bread baked too hard to be generous. The ground is rarely dry. Mud grips bare ankles as if it expects you to stay. Wind slips through every crack it can find. Even as a child, you hear chants drifting across the fields, steady and distant. They feel older than you. By the time you can walk without help, the world already feels arranged. And it does not feel kind. Life unfolds in small, repeating motions. Bread is torn by hand. Water is carried carefully, never spilled. Nothing happens once. Everything happens again. You rise with the light, rest when it leaves, and spend the hours between keeping your hands busy. Women scrub floors raw, mend the same garments, kneel, rise, kneel again. Fast days blur into feast days until taste stops marking time. The body learns endurance before it learns comfort. This isn't considered harsh. This is simply how people continue. You're still young when differences begin to register. Not loudly, quietly. The way you hesitate before speaking. How your eyes drop without being told. You're not troublesome, you're not slow. Just present in a way that makes people think ahead. Older girls whisper about marriages and futures measured in livestock and grain. You listen, but none of it settles on you properly. You don't imagine yourself there. You don't imagine yourself anywhere. You only sense a space opening beside the path everyone else seems to follow. One evening, a man from the parish speaks to your father in a low voice meant to sound ordinary. There is no argument, no explanation. Only a pause where the fire cracks and your name is said once, carefully. Your father nods, as if something has finally been confirmed. Your mother keeps her hands moving. No one looks at you. Nothing is explained, but the silence stretches longer than it should, and you feel it settle into place. Some lives are chosen early. Others are simply redirected, before they learn how to object. When marriage becomes a weapon, your body changes before anyone asks what you want. Blood appears one morning, and the house grows quieter after that. Glances linger longer. Doors close sooner. You are told to stand nearer the wall when visitors arrive. The air feels tighter, as if space itself has become expensive. Your name begins to circulate without you. A neighbor pauses too long when greeting your father. Another counts your age on his fingers, then looks at the ground. Conversations happen at the edge of rooms. Grain is measured. Livestock is mentioned. The word dowry enters the house like a tool laid carefully on the table. Not sharp yet, just present. Marriage is discussed as protection, as order, as a way to keep things from spilling. Suitors arrive with smiles that feel rehearsed. They inspect hands, teeth, posture. They ask nothing of your thoughts. What matters is what you cost, what you bring, what you might require later. Each visit leaves your family calculating survival more openly. You notice how your father exhales when the church is mentioned, how your mother's shoulders lower when someone says the word convent. It is spoken gently, like shelter, a place that asks for nothing up front. No dowry, no bargaining, just consent that does not belong to you. Decisions stack quickly once spoken aloud. You are moved from the center of the room to its edge. Tasks change. You are watched more closely, then spoken for entirely. The choice arrives already completed, dressed as relief. You understand one thing clearly. What is being saved is not you. The ceremony of erasure. The scissors are colder than you expect. Metal touches your scalp while the chapel fills with breathing you cannot see. Hair falls in uneven clumps, dark against pale stone. No one rushes. This is meant to be witnessed. You kneel while hands guide your head forward. The abbess does not look unkind. She looks practiced. The crowd stays silent, except for the soft sound of cutting. You feel lighter with each pass, as if something useful is being removed. People avert their eyes at the wrong moments. Others stare too directly, memorizing the change. Your old clothes are taken away. New fabric settles on your shoulders, rough and identical. It hides the shape of you. The name you have answered to all your life is spoken one last time, then replaced. The new one does not fit yet. No one seems concerned. Prayers rise and fall around you. They promise safety, order, stillness. The convent walls appear solid, almost gentle in the candlelight. From here, they look like protection rather than enclosure. You stand when told. You kneel again when instructed. Applause never comes. Only approval, quieter than sound. As you are led away, you notice something small. No one asks if you remember your face. Life inside the holy prison. The bell decides when your body belongs to itself. It pulls you from sleep before warmth gathers, before the mind fully returns. Stone floors bite through thin soles. Breath clouds the air even indoors. You line up without speaking, guided by habit more than instruction. Silence is not requested, it is assumed. Days are divided into work and prayer, though the difference is mostly posture. You scrub floors until water turns gray, then carry it outside and begin again. You tend gardens that never quite feed everyone. You stitch the same seams until the thread wears smooth between your fingers. Food arrives in bowls that look generous until you finish them. Hunger lingers, patient and familiar. Cold settles into joints and stays there, like a reminder. There is order here, strict and visible. Older sisters move freely, younger ones wait. The abbess speaks rarely, but her presence shapes every corridor. Rules are learned by watching who is corrected and who is not. A glance can send you back to your knees. A pause can mean extra fasting. Punishments are delivered calmly, as if weather were being described. Silence becomes a tool. You learn when not to ask. Questions turn inward, then quiet. At night, whispers travel the dormitory in careful fragments. Someone sobs once and stops. Someone coughs too long and is gone by morning. You are told it is God's will when work increases without explanation. You are told nothing when it doesn't make sense. Prayer is meant to bring clarity. Instead, it teaches endurance. You repeat words until meaning thins, until the sound matters more than the promise. Sometimes you wonder what obedience measures. Exactly. The thought passes quickly. There is scrubbing to finish. One afternoon, you are punished for a mistake no one names. The bell rings early. No one explains why. Enclosure and the first dream of escape. The gate closes with a sound that carries. Wood meets iron. Iron settles. You are told the rule has always existed, though it feels newly heavy. Enclosure is announced as protection. From now on, no one leaves without permission that rarely comes. The walls seem closer after that. Windows are higher. Paths shorten. Air circulates differently, as if learning new limits. You notice how often doors are locked, how keys change hands without comment. Days continue, but the idea of outside begins to feel theoretical. Rumors arrive quietly. A sister once slipped out during harvest season. Another hid among pilgrims and was never seen again. Names are not shared. Details stay vague. The stories survive because they are incomplete. They move between mouths like contraband, traded during work when hands are busy enough to hide movement. At night, whispers grow more daring. You hear plans that are mostly hope, a loose hinge, a friendly guard, a road that curves instead of ending. The thought of leaving forms without shape, like a dream you wake from before understanding it. You do not picture freedom, you picture motion. The abbess addresses the convent the next morning. Her voice is calm. She speaks of obedience as care, of walls as mercy. Eyes lower on command. The rumors fade back into breath and shadow. Still, something remains. A sense that the gate remembers being opened. Eleanor and the cost of mercy. You first notice Eleanor because she lingers where others pass through. She moves slowly, not from age, but from attention. Her hands pause before touching. Her eyes check corners before doors. When she speaks, it is usually to ask if you have eaten enough or if your fingers still bleed from the cold water. These questions are not common here. She has been inside longer than you. That much is clear. She knows which rules bend without breaking, which sisters look away, which punishments bruise, and which disappear. When she helps you, it is small at first, an extra crust slipped into your bowl, a warning before inspection, nothing that leaves evidence. One night, she sits beside you while you mend by candlelight. She does not whisper. She barely moves her lips. She tells you there are paths out that no longer show themselves. Old hinges. Schedules remembered incorrectly on purpose. She says escape is not bravery. It is timing. You do not ask why she helps. She does not offer reasons. Mercy here is rarely pure. It is usually a transaction with no clear currency. When she finally acts, it is quick. A door left unsecured. A signal you almost miss. Footsteps where there should be none. The discovery comes before dawn. Someone counts bodies. Someone notices the wrong absence. Eleanor is taken without resistance. She does not look at you as they lead her away. Later, you hear the sound of blows measured carefully, followed by prayer. She is returned changed, her back straighter, her kindness gone. Mercy with a price. The priest arrives when the convent is quiet. His visits are framed as concern, guidance. He walks slowly through corridors, touches walls as if blessing the stone itself. When he speaks to you, it is alone. Always alone. He asks questions that sound gentle, whether you struggle, whether you doubt, whether your body distracts you from devotion. His voice stays even, his hands do not. He calls this attention, he calls it correction. When you hesitate, he reminds you of his position, not with threats, but with certainty. I am the church, he says once, without emphasis. The words are not loud. They do not need to be. What follows is explained as necessity, as burden, as a test placed upon both of you. You are told to remain silent, not for shame, but for order. He speaks of protection while taking it away. Each visit ends with prayer that sounds rehearsed, like something repeated until it stops asking. You notice how differently you are treated afterward. Less punishment, fewer questions. The abbess nods when your name is mentioned. You are given tasks that keep you close, visible, accounted for. The arrangement is efficient. Everyone benefits, except in ways that cannot be listed. At night, you scrub yourself longer than required. The water cools, the marks remain. You begin to understand that salvation here is not release. It is ownership, delivered calmly and with approval. The priest leaves satisfied. The door closes softly behind him. The anatomy of power. Morning begins the same way it always has. The bell rings, bodies rise, lines form. Nothing appears different on the surface. Yet you start to notice patterns you once ignored. The convent does not run on prayer alone. It runs on permissions, on silence traded for stability. The abbess speaks often with men you never see arrive. Coin passes hands elsewhere, but its effects settle here. Repairs happen when useful. Food improves when donors are pleased. Punishments soften for some and harden for others, without explanation.
He's gone?
You watch how the abbess protects the structure rather than the people inside it.
Sound?
Complaints disappear before reaching her. Accusations turn into inconveniences. The priest's visits are recorded as blessings. What happens during them is not recorded at all. You are not the only one marked by quiet arrangements. You see it in other sisters. The way they flinch when footsteps slow behind them. The way they are reassigned, then praised for obedience. Their suffering never appears dramatic. It is logistical, efficient, designed to leave no witnesses who matter. Power here does not shout. It organizes. It absorbs damage and redistributes it downward, When someone breaks, the system does not stop, it closes ranks. Another body fills the space. You realize the convent is not failing its purpose, it is fulfilling a different one. Judgment without truth. Your body changes again. This time, it cannot be hidden. At first, it is fatigue that lingers too long, then sickness that follows meals. Fabric tightens where it never has before. You adjust your posture. You volunteer for extra work. You pray standing instead of kneeling. None of it stops what is forming. The discovery is quiet. A look held too long. A hand placed where it shouldn't be, then withdrawn sharply. Word travels faster than mercy ever did. You are isolated before being accused. Silence is no longer protection, it is evidence. The hearing takes place in a room that echoes. Men speak. The abbess listens. You are asked questions that assume answers. Names are suggested. Circumstances rearranged. You deny nothing because nothing you say alters the shape of the verdict. You are called impure, disruptive, ungrateful. The words are spoken carefully, as if to preserve dignity. Yours is not included. Your name is removed from records with the same calm efficiency that once welcomed you. The sentence is not death. It is erasure, survival, plague, and disappearance. You leave with nothing that marks where you came from. No habit, no protection, no name that carries weight. The road does not ask questions, it only stretches. You survive by staying peripheral, taking work no one wants, sleeping where smoke leaks through roofs. You give birth where no one witnesses it properly. The child cries. You press a hand over their mouth, not to silence them, but to steady yourself. Food comes inconsistently. So does safety. You learn to read faces quickly, to move before curiosity turns dangerous. The world beyond the convent is not freer. It is simply less organized. When the plague arrives, it does not announce itself. People disappear between mornings. Fires burn longer. Bodies are moved without ceremony. You keep walking. You keep breathing. The child survives longer than many. Eventually, one of you does not rise. There is no marker, no record, no correction. You were never meant to remain visible.